right, guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to focus on teaching you guys how to layer your claps correctly over a kick drum so you can create a cleaner sounding drop. So I'm going to get rid of this sound file and pull up a new file that has the exact kick from this, and I'm going to import the exact clap so I can show you how I layer my claps on top of drops or on top of my kicks to get everything to mold as I see fit. So let me open the next page. Perfect. So there's our kick drum. I'm just going to close this guy and I will save it. And I'm going to make my loop a bit longer, 2 measures long. And so right now, if I press play, all you'll hear is the kick from that drop I just played. All right, cool. So there's the kick drum. And I'm going to create an audio track and import the clap. So here's the clap with no effects on it over the kick. Now the simplest way to achieve the effect I go for when I'm working on my clap tops is to have a rack extension, which is under Studio Effects, it's called the Decam Envelope Shaper. And what that allows us to do is mess with the attack of the audio that we bring into it, in this case, which would be a clap. So it's all about the attack with the clap. I don't want a really attack heavy clap over my kick drum, or you're going to miss the top of my kick drum, and it's also might get in the way of some of the dynamics of the kick coming out. So what I prefer to have happen is have the clap come a little bit after the kick plays. And the easiest way to do that I've found is using this envelope shaper, which I highly recommend. So let me show you what it sounds like with the envelope shaper and without it. So this is without it. Now I'm gonna open a Decam Envelope Shaper inside this. And what I'll do is, you see this attack knob? All I'm going to do is drop this down all the way, not all the way, let's say 75%. And if I solo that, let's take a listen. If I turn it off, not sure if you'll be able to hear the difference right there. But when you hear it with the track, you're going to be able to hear the difference. I also like to take the sustain on this, and I like to bring it down maybe 41%, and that makes this a really quick clap because I don't want it to be too long either. See how that sustain really affects it? Let's get a really quick one with not much attack. Nice. So now if you hear it layered on top of the kick, it sounds like this, as opposed to this. I hope you guys can hear the difference through the YouTube video. Next, I like to add a little bit of reverb, which just creates more atmosphere in the clap sound. So let's just create an RV7000 Advanced Reverb. And let's take that decay and bring it up a little bit, maybe to 96, let's say. Let's keep the pre-delay where it is, keep the size where it is, go to our EQ and enable the EQ, and basically just from there on out, EQ your reverb how you see fit. I like to have the dry wet at around, let's say 20 for this. And you can take a listen right now what it sounds like. Okay, now that I listen to it, I actually think that decay is too long. So as this is playing, you'll see where I stop, and I'll make a note where I stop, and that's the decay I think sounds best. I'm also going to include my patch settings for this envelope shaper and the reverb in case you want to use the exact same one that I find is my favorite. So you'll find that in the description of this video. I'll have links where you can download each of those presets. All right, so it actually was at 60 that I found it sounded best. And if you don't like the high end, use this HF damp. It's basically a high pass filter And the further you go right, the more highs you lose, and the further you go left, the more highs you gain back. So yeah, there you have it. That's how I like to layer my claps. I'm going to play it one last time with this reverb and the envelope shaper. And then I'm going to play it again with all of these effects bypassed, so you can hear the difference between how I have them layered. Here's with the effects. And here is without the effects. All right, so I think you guys get the point now. Hopefully that translated over. It sounds pretty different on my end. I really recommend getting rid of that attack, but if you don't have this envelope shaper and you're looking for other ways to do it, there are other ways. You can use a compressor. So let me delete this envelope shaper. You could add a compressor, and you could bring that attack way down to maybe 13 and have the threshold at 22, so you're really getting that attack and pump that input gain, and you'll get a similar effect. I personally like the envelope shaper effect, but that's a way you could do it with the compressor. Another way you could do it is, let's delete that compressor. If you have the synchronous effect modulator rack extension, which I love, go to the patches that come with the synth. So that would be, if you go to your rack extension folder, you'll see synchronous effect modulator. Click on that. Click on effect patches. Go to pumping and click short sidechain. Now this is a fake sidechain that basically just cuts out the audio really quickly on each of the first beats. And if you listen to it now, the sidechain is going to be too heavy. You're going to lose pretty much all of the clap. But you might want that if you really only want the reverb sound from the clap. But if you still want to get some of that clap in, just take that dry wetness down to about 50%. I'll do 44. And you're basically only going to get half of this effect, which will let half of the audio from that first beat back in. So take a listen. And once again, I'll bypass it. So there's three ways that you can get a similar effect of messing with the attack of a clap that you layer on top of a kick. And I do highly recommend adding some reverb to it also to create more atmosphere. Hope this tutorial helped, guys. Check back every Thursday for a brand new tutorial. And let me know what you guys want to learn next.